After the funeral, my daughter stopped talking until the night I heard her whispering to someone in the corner of her room. When I asked who it was, she smiled and said, "She only comes at night." We moved into the house on a Thursday, just me and Lily. She was quiet the whole drive, not asleep, just far away. She stared out the window as we passed trees, empty gas stations, and long stretches of nothing. Not a single question about the house. No, how big is my room, or what's it look like? She hadn't said much since the funeral. The place was old, cheap rental, too cheap if I'm honest. The landlord said the previous tenant left suddenly. No forwarding address, just vanished. But I didn't ask questions. I didn't care. All I needed was somewhere far from where her mother died, far from the silence that clung to our old house like mold. Lily held her stuffed rabbit close to her chest as we pulled into the gravel driveway. It was the only thing she hadn't let go of since the hospital. Its fur was frayed, one ear drooped, but she'd cradle it like it was breathing. The house sat at the edge of a forest. Tall, narrow pines clustered behind it like silent witnesses. Inside, the air was cold. Not just unheated, cold. Like the kind of cold that lives in places people don't stay long enough to warm. Still, I pretended it was fine. Told her we'd make it feel like home. Paint the walls, hang pictures, cook pancakes on Sundays again. She didn't answer, just wandered upstairs. I heard her footsteps pause, then creak across the floorboards. She stopped in the room at the far end of the hall, the one with the corner window that looked directly into the woods. "I want this one," she said. Her voice was flat, not excited, not curious, just certain. I asked why. She shrugged. "It feels like someone's waiting." I told myself it was just the way kids talk. They say strange things, process grief in weirder ways than we expect. We spent the rest of the day unpacking. I set up her bed, hung her curtains. She watched from the doorway. Didn't help, didn't blink much, just stared into that corner by the window, even after the sun went down. That night I didn't sleep well. The mattress creaked with every breath. The house made noises I couldn't explain. Settling, I told myself, just the wood adjusting. Every house makes noise when you're not used to it. At 3:15 a.m. I woke up. No reason, just awake. Then I heard it. A voice, small, whispering. I sat up. It was coming from upstairs, Lily's room. I got out of bed and stepped into the hall. Each floorboard groaned like it didn't want me to move. I paused outside her door. The light from the hallway slipped in through the crack at the bottom. I listened. Her voice was low, talking, pausing, responding, but there was no other voice. Just her. "Okay," she whispered. Then silence. I pushed the door open gently. She was sitting in the corner, the one by the window, staring into it. I asked her who she was talking to. She didn't turn around. "I was telling her a story," she said. "Who?" She looked at me, blinking slowly. "The girl in the corner." My skin prickled. "There's no one there, sweetheart." She smiled. "She only comes at night." I told her it was just a dream, that maybe she was talking in her sleep. I tucked her in, checked the closet, under the bed, kissed her on the forehead. Her eyes never left the corner. When I turned off the light, she said one last thing. She said she's glad I'm here. The next morning, she didn't remember the conversation, or pretended not to. When I asked her about the girl in the corner, she looked at me like I was making it up. "Is she your imaginary friend?" I asked. She shrugged. "Maybe." But I'd seen the way she smiled. That wasn't imagination. That was recognition. By the third night, it happened again. Same time. 3:15 a.m. This time I stayed in bed, listened from the darkness. I could hear her voice clearly, telling a story, pausing for replies. Sometimes she laughed, a soft, breathy kind of laugh, like someone else was making faces behind my back. I got out of bed. This time I walked slowly, not trying to catch her, trying to hear what she was saying. "And then we went into the water," she whispered. I stood outside her door. Her voice was closer to the floor this time, as if she wasn't sitting upright, like she was lying down or leaning into something. "She said she used to have a dad too," Lily said. Then silence again. I opened the door. Lily was on her knees, facing the wall. Her forehead was resting gently against it, both hands pressed flat. I asked her what she was doing. She turned and smiled. She asked if she could come in. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. In the morning, the corner of her room was wet. Just a small circle. No open windows, no leaks, just dampness. And a faint, earthy smell, like soil, like something freshly dug. I didn't tell her, didn't want to scare her, didn't want to scare myself. But that night I moved a chair into the hallway, sat outside her door, waited. At 3:15 a.m., her voice started again. Only this time, there was another voice, too faint to make out, but not hers, not mine, something too low, too soft, like a whisper underwater. I stood, opened the door. The room was empty. Lily was gone. The window was open, curtain blowing gently. My heart stopped. I ran to it, no sign of her. But in the corner, her stuffed rabbit, sitting upright, facing the wall, and drawn in the dust on the wooden floor. A shape, a spiral, like something trying to get out or trying to pull something in. Then I heard her, from the closet, knocking, just once, then twice. Then, "Daddy?" I opened the door. She was standing there, smiling, as if she'd been there the whole time, as if nothing happened. I pulled her into my arms. She was cold, not freezing, just not warm, and she whispered something into my shoulder. But I didn't understand the words. They weren't English. They weren't anything I knew. I put her back to bed. She fell asleep quickly, too quickly, and I sat in the corner, the one she always stared at. I waited, nothing, but just before dawn, I thought I saw it, a shape, just for a moment, reflected in the window glass. A second girl, standing behind me, smiling. The next day, I tried not to think about the night before, told myself it was the house, the stress, my imagination. But when I peeked into Lily's room during breakfast, she was there, sitting on the floor, her back against the wall, smiling at the corner, that corner, the one that seemed to draw her in, like something was there waiting for her. "Who are you talking to?" I asked quietly. She looked up, bright-eyed. "Mara." I blinked. "Mara?" She nodded, like it was the most normal thing in the world. "She's my friend." "Is she real?" She smiled wider, tilting her head. "Real enough." I wanted to believe it was just a child's game, an imaginary friend to keep her company while I was busy, that Mara was harmless. But the way Lily looked at that corner, like she was sharing a secret with someone only she could see, I wasn't sure anymore. That night, I set up the baby monitor in her room, just in case. I told myself it was just precaution, a way to feel close to her even when I was downstairs. At exactly 3:15 a.m., I woke again. The house was quiet, too quiet. I checked the monitor. Lily was talking, not crying, not calling for me, talking. I leaned closer to the speaker. Her voice was soft, rhythmic, like a lullaby. But then, there was another voice, faint, breathy, low, almost a whisper. I couldn't make out the words, but I heard it clearly. "Don't tell Daddy yet." I froze, held my breath. The voice came again. "Don't tell Daddy yet." I rewound the monitor, played it back. The whisper was real. It wasn't static or interference. There was something else in the room with her. I stared at the monitor, heart pounding. Who was Mara? And why didn't she want me to know? The next day, I asked Lily more about her mysterious friend. She shrugged, seemingly unaware of how strange her answers sounded. "Mara says she's lonely." "Where does she live?" "In the corner." I smiled weakly. "A corner doesn't have a house, Lily." "She does," Lily said firmly, "and she can come out at night." "Can I meet her?" Lily looked hesitant. "Maybe someday." That night I stood outside her door again, watching the corner, listening. At 3:15 a.m. sharp, the whispers started, this time clearer. Lily's voice told Mara a story. Mara whispered back. I couldn't understand the words, but the tone was playful, almost teasing. Then silence. Then Lily laughed, softly, but it was a hollow laugh, not her usual. I opened the door. She was alone, but the room felt different. The air was thicker, heavy, cold. The curtain by the window fluttered, though the air was still. The corner where Mara supposedly lived looked darker than the rest of the room, deeper, like a shadow inside a shadow. I closed the door slowly. Downstairs, I tried to shake the feeling that I wasn't alone in that house. The next few days, Lily's conversations grew longer. She started speaking in voices, not just hers, sometimes two voices in one breath, sometimes a voice that wasn't hers at all. I tried to ask her what they talked about. She'd only say, secrets. Secrets I wasn't supposed to know. One night I found her sitting on the floor again, this time whispering urgently. Promise you won't tell Daddy, she said. I nodded slowly, feeling the weight of those words. She smiled. Mara says she's scared. Scared of what? She won't say. I wished I could protect her, from Mara, from whatever was lurking in the corner. I thought about calling someone, a priest, a therapist, anyone. But something stopped me, like Mara was watching, waiting. One night I decided to stay with her, sat on the floor beside her. She didn't seem surprised. Mara doesn't like strangers. I asked her what Mara looked like. She's pale, like moonlight. Her eyes glow faintly. She wears a dress that's torn, like she's been wandering for a long time. I swallowed hard. Is she your friend or something else? Lily shrugged. Both. That night I realized Mara wasn't just an imaginary friend. She was something else. Something from the dark corner of the woods behind the house. Something that came alive when the world was asleep. I didn't know how to stop it, or even if I wanted to, because Lily was smiling again, laughing again, and for the first time since her mother died, she was happy. But the price of that happiness was something I feared I'd never understand. Something was changing. Lily wasn't the same little girl I brought into this house. She started drawing, not the usual childish scribbles, not flowers or stick figures, but dark things, twisted shapes, figures with black hollow eyes, arms bent in ways that made your skin crawl. I found the drawings tucked beneath her bed, one after another, all showing the same girl, a girl with eyes that swallowed the light, arms that twisted and curled like they were broken but moving on their own. I asked Lily about the pictures. She said, "It's Mara. She wants me to draw her." I tried to laugh it off, said it was just a game, a story she was telling herself, but the way she looked at me when she said it, it wasn't playful, it was cold, empty. Worse, her smile didn't reach her eyes anymore. I didn't know what to do. I needed proof. Something to show Mara wasn't just a product of grief and imagination. So I set up a camera in her room. It was small, hidden in the corner, recording everything while we slept. The next morning, I watched the footage. Lily was alone in the room, but the corner she always talked about, it was alive. Shadows moved strangely, not cast by the moonlight or the street lamp outside. They flickered, twisted, danced like something breathing. Lily sat cross-legged, talking softly, laughing sometimes, her voice bright. But then, her reflection in the window caught my eye. It moved on its own, not matching her movements. It smiled when she didn't, tilted its head, looked directly at the camera, like it knew I was watching. I paused the video, replayed it. My heart pounded. I wanted to believe my eyes were playing tricks. But the evidence was there. Mara wasn't just a voice or a shadow. She was real, and she was here. I confronted Lily. "Why do you talk to Mara?" She looked at me, eyes darkening. "She says you didn't save Mommy." I flinched. Her voice was flat. "Because of that, you don't deserve me." I took a step back. "What does that mean?" "She says you lost her." She says you'll lose me too. My throat went dry. I wanted to scream, to deny it. But something inside me knew. Mara was not just jealous, she was dangerous. I spent nights watching Lily, waiting for signs, for Mara to show herself again, but Lily was quiet now, too quiet. The drawings piled up, the laughter stopped, the smiling vanished. One night I caught her standing by the window, staring out into the woods, whispering something I couldn't hear. Her reflection was there, but it wasn't alone. Behind her in the glass, a figure stood, tall, thin, eyes black as void, arms twisted. Mara. I wanted to reach out, to pull Lily away, but I was frozen, trapped between fear and disbelief. The next day, I took the drawings and burned them, hoping to break whatever hold Mara had. Lily cried, not out of pain, but sadness. She told me, "You can't burn her away. She's part of me now." I felt helpless, like a man drowning, reaching for air that wasn't there. I called my sister, told her everything. She said I should take Lily to a specialist, but deep down I feared it was beyond science, that Mara wasn't something you could fix. One evening I found a note taped to Lily's door, written in childish handwriting, but the words weren't hers. "You can't save her. You don't deserve me." I realized then that Mara wasn't just in the room. She was in our lives, in the walls, in the shadows, waiting, watching. And I was running out of time. The house had secrets. I felt it in my bones every time I stepped inside, the way the walls seemed to close in, the way the shadows clung just a little longer than they should. I knew I had to find answers, not just for Lily, but for myself, for whatever this thing was, Mara, that haunted my daughter. I started with the previous owner. "Left suddenly," the landlord said when I asked. No details, just a tight smile and a change of subject. So I went to the town records, old newspapers, police reports, anything that might give me a clue. And then I found her, Mara, a girl who had lived in this house decades ago. The same room Lily had chosen, the corner facing the woods. She had died there, murdered by her own father. The story was chilling. Mara was only 7, just like Lily. The police report said the father snapped one night, claimed the girl was no longer his daughter, that something else had taken her place. Neighbors talked about strange screams coming from the house, about a man who talked to shadows, who locked himself away from the world. I kept digging, found his suicide note, scrawled in shaky handwriting. She said she was mine, but her eyes were not hers. Those words struck me like a blow. I read and reread them. The eyes, the same eyes Lily had drawn over and over again, black, empty, twisted. The father's mind had broken, or maybe he had seen the truth. I wondered if Mara had been trapped here all along, waiting for someone to find her, or for someone to replace her. I imagined the horror the father must have felt, losing his daughter to something unknown, something dark and hungry. The more I learned, the heavier the house felt, like it was breathing, like it was alive. I took Lily to the room, the corner she loved so much. She sat quietly, staring into the shadows. "Mara wants me to stay here," she said softly. "Forever." My heart clenched. I held her close, but I knew this was only the beginning. That night the house was restless. Doors creaked, shadows shifted, whispers drifted through the air. I saw my reflection in the window, but for a split second it wasn't me. It was her, Mara. I didn't know if I was losing my mind, or if the house had finally claimed me too, but I knew one thing. I had to fight. For Lily, for her future, for her life. Because the forgotten child wasn't just a ghost. She was a warning, a curse, and she wasn't done yet. It started with the words. At first I thought I misheard, but then it happened again, and again. Lily began speaking about herself like she was someone else, not as I, but as she. "She's gone to sleep," she whispered one afternoon. "Lily's gone to sleep. I'm Mara now." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I asked her, "What do you mean, Mara?" Her eyes darkened, and she smiled, cold and distant. "She's better than me," Lily said. "She's been waiting." The change was subtle at first, but the way she moved, the way she looked, it was like two shadows in one body. The innocent girl I knew and something else lurking beneath. Desperation pushed me to the edge. I locked her bedroom door, barred it tight with whatever I could find. But that night, the house came alive in a way I had never imagined. Scratching sounds scraped against the door, slow, deliberate. Through the vents, I heard whispers. Software like silk sliding over broken glass. "She likes it better here," the voice hissed. "We're going to stay." I pressed my ear to the door. The scratching turned into a rhythm, like a heartbeat, slow, steady, unrelenting. I called out Lily's name, but there was no answer, only the whispers and the scratching. Fear wrapped around me like a noose. I wanted to run, but I couldn't leave her there. The walls seemed to close in, every shadow a threat, every breath a struggle. I remembered the father from the past, how he lost his daughter, how he saw the eyes that weren't hers. I wasn't ready to give up, not yet. But I didn't know if I could hold on much longer. The house was winning, and Mara was inside my daughter now. She was coming for me. The police found me in the woods, cold, lost, covered in dirt and scratches, blood, mostly mine. I was shaking, hysterical, barely able to speak, but the words spilled out anyway. I was running. From my daughter, they looked at me like I was insane, like the fear in my eyes was something no one could understand. But I couldn't explain, not fully, not what Mara had become. They brought me back to the house, the place where it all began. I wanted to see Lily, to hold her, but when I walked inside, something was wrong. There was only one child there, Lily, or so I thought. She looked up at the officers, her eyes wide and innocent. A small, sweet smile played on her lips. "Can I go home with you now?" she asked softly. "Daddy's not fun anymore." The officers exchanged uneasy glances, but then I saw it, behind her, in the corner of the room, a shadow, a dark shape lingering in the empty space. It moved just slightly, like a breath, a heartbeat. But there was no one there, no one visible, just the shadow, the second presence. Mara, still waiting, still watching, still hungry, and I knew then, the nightmare wasn't over. It was only just beginning.